Hello, today my guest is Zuzanna Wach-Skrabel. As it won't be a typical technical video cast as usual, because it will be about human factor in technology. Zuzanna is a seasoned HR professional with over 20 years of experience, in particular in talent acquisition, but not only. And in recent time, Zuzanna is transferring into coaching, which she's also been doing for quite some time. But this is now your probably a core activity, or becoming a core activity. So thank you very much for being my guest. We started quite early today, even before 8:00 a.m.
Yes, that's true. Hello, hi. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, would you agree with a sentence that I've heard once from one of my candidates? Problems in IT are solved mostly outside of the IT area.
Yes, definitely. I do agree with this sentence. I think that's true. I can tell from my experience that most of the problems which we can see in IT, they are actually not IT related. They are just between people, right? So yes, I have to admit that this sentence is really close to me. So yeah, I do agree with this.
So what soft skills are mostly missed among IT people?
Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that only between IT people, but definitely what I can observe is the fact that soft skills like communication skills are the most important, and they are missing in most of the cases. Especially nowadays, I think that if we are talking about the communication skills, the ability to something which is very important, and unfortunately very often we just don't do this, right? And I can observe this. I have also my clients, and they are sometimes saying me that I'm the only person who can, during the sessions, who can listen them actively. So yes, communication skills, first of all, but also the empathy, right? We can hear a lot nowadays about the empathy related with the leadership. And I think that this is also another soft skill, which is really important. Again, nowadays, the time where we live, first the pandemic situation, now the situation with the war, everything keeps on changing very quickly. We are living in a really stressful environment. So this empathy is also very, very important, I would say.
So people don't listen enough to one another at work.
Yes, because there are so many distractions, there are so many notifications, there are so many things to do that people cannot concentrate on each other, right? So very often they do speak with each other, but at the same time they are doing many different things, right? Like those kind of multitasking, which is not a good idea in many cases. So this is the reason why they can listen, but they cannot listen completely with the whole body. They cannot focus. So this is something which can be trained. And I think that this is one of those skills which good trainings can be really, can be increased, right, to the sufficient level, and can help a lot with the communication within the teams, and especially in IT.
How can you teach people how to listen?
I think there are a lot of many different trainings, right? So I'm not a trainer, but I was also attending during my education, during my courses, different ones. I was also attending in some trainings related to the communication skills, and very often they were focusing on those listening skills, right? So this is something which can be done. It's not like that you are not a good listener and that's all. No, it can be improved. And it's the same with the empathy, because sometimes people think that, okay, but I'm not so empathetic and this is something which I should, I don't know, born with, right? But that's not true. You can improve the empathy, you can improve your skills in this particular area, and it can be done with good trainer, with good trainings. Definitely, this is something which can be upskilled. So,
do companies have upskilling programs in this matter, like generally on the market, or is it lacking?
No, I think they do have. I used to work in many different companies, and it looked in a slightly different way. However, I have to say that training programs, they are very important. In my particular company, we even have the trainings dedicated for future leaders or managers, right, in IT. And those trainings are like long trainings. They for like a couple of months, like even 6 months, right? And during this particular period of time, the future leaders or managers in IT, they are able definitely to learn a lot. And the focus is on, of course, soft skills like we have mentioned communication skills, empathy. With the communication, with the listening, it is also related with the feedback, right? Providing your team members with the constructive feedback, not just the bad or good, let's say like that, but the constructive, which will help them to improve as well, help them to understand. For example, okay, I'm doing something maybe not in a right way, but what I should do, can you help me? Can you provide me with some tools, with some instructions, right? Because obtaining just the feedback that is good or bad, well, it will not work, right? It will not help a lot.
It's a very masculine industry, IT. How does it relate, you know, to people being coachable? First, let's talk about managers, maybe.
Well, I have to admit from my experience that they are really open for many different kind of trainings. So of course, I think that IT people, they are most focused on all those technical trainings, definitely, right? Because they want to develop, they want to grow, they have to be like up to date with all the new modern technologies. But whenever they choose this managerial path, they know that they are completely aware that they would also need those soft skills. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for them and for the team to cooperate, right? To be a good leader. So I think that, you know, companies, they don't have to force them. They are pretty much aware and they are pretty much keen to obtain some new skills, soft skills. So I don't see any challenge or any problem here.
So what are challenges in general in your job as a coach?
Challenges, well, maybe the fact that, you know, in being a coach or being a psychologist, whenever you try to help people, you have to develop all the time. But for me, it's not a challenge because this is something which I really like, right? So what I can find as a challenge maybe is the lack of time. This is the only thing which is you know, came to my mind. But overall, you know, each and every person, each and every client is different. But it's interesting, right? Because everyone is bringing a new story, something new. So it's not challenging. It's rather, you know, interesting, right?
Right. You have several years of experience in talent acquisition. So we've known each other for I think more than 10 years now.
In recruitment mainly, I would
Yes,
say, right?
and would you agree that it's a problem with junior developers, let's say, have probably most difficulty to get to where they want to, because after that, they are become, let's say, mid developers, you know, everybody's after them. But right after university, when you have like half a year of experience or so, you might be struggling, you know, to get a good job really. And to me, what is really important and what is missing, these people have often very poor soft skills. They communicate very poorly. They have difficulty, you know, to express what they really want, what they are really after. They make often bad impression of being arrogant, of being rude, of being undecided. And I think that this is not always deliberate on their part. So what can be done with that, or do you agree with that point?
I would say yes and no, right? So in my opinion, looking at the candidates who are in the recruitment process, even nowadays, they, from the technical point of view, they do not have any challenges or difficulties to find the position. Most of the companies, they are really open for junior candidates, because being a junior candidate, very often it doesn't mean that you don't have enough technical skills. And also I can see that a lot of companies, they have those kind of upskilling programs, right? So they can hire you and then they can provide you with many different trainings, technical trainings, also soft skills trainings. And coming to the second part, what you have mentioned about this, like being arrogant, maybe, right, during the interviews. Yes, I faced those kind of behaviors. And yes, that's true that whenever I'm having the meetings with really senior candidates, they at least they seems to be more polite, right? But I think that it's also not so bad, because at the same time, those junior candidates, they are really assertive, right? Sometimes they are maybe too assertive. So it would be the role of the future manager just to make them aware that, okay, being assertive doesn't equal to be rude, right? So it's not the same. But at the same time, they are really like, they are aware about their competencies, they are aware about their skills, so they can sell, let's say, those skills in a really good way, right? They don't have any objections. They are not afraid to tell about all the strengths. So that's, you know, from this point of view, it's not so bad. This is what I can say.
I would disagree a bit, or maybe disagree quite some. I think that the situation is getting worse over years. So we have now this generation Z, or whatever you call it, and people with very, let's say, short experience or relatively low competencies, technical competencies, are asking for the same money.
That's true.
As senior candidates who have I don't know 10+ years of experience, and you know, very many projects from different domains, not projects from the same domain, which makes a difference. And apart from some, you know, very hungry Silicon Valley startups, nobody is ready to pay the same. And these young people, you know, are very fussy when you tell them that it's not the case with them. So the communication is difficult. And of course, at the end of the day, there is always some, as I said, hungry startup from Silicon Valley or from some other very high cost place, which will pay for a European developer probably anything he asks or she asks. But this young people entering the market or being, I don't know, 2 or 3 years right after their studies do not understand that if you offer a rate which is double the market rate, you really have a choice between candidates, and then you have to be really good. And yes, I don't say everybody, but this young generation behaves like rock stars to more and more extent.
That's true. However, maybe it depends on the technology, because unfortunately my experience are slightly different. So very often whenever we were by we, I mean the companies, right? Together with me, we were trying to negotiate the salary expectations of those young people. Then at the end of the day, we found out that actually they were no longer interested, because during this particular period of time, they have been already offered. So from my experience, it seems that unfortunately they are spoiled by the market, by the IT market, by different companies, and by the fact that still the demand, especially for particular technologies, is so high, right? There are so many vacancies that we do not even have so many candidates on the market, even the junior ones. So I think that that's the problem, right? So, but to be honest, I don't know what would be the best solution. But yes, I agree with you that the way of communication, the salary expectations, if you compare to the senior candidates with really like great experience, a lot of years in particular or many technologies, like the mature candidates, well, they are two different things, but that's how it is as of now.
But what can be done about it? Because I think that I'm getting at that these young candidates, junior candidates, are actually losing with their attitude, because at the end, everybody in software development gets a job, and it's a well-paid job.
Yeah.
But when junior candidates ask for too much and behave in an impolite way, they are probably not getting something better that they otherwise could have obtained.
Well, that's I think that's this is bigger problem, and I think it is not related only with IT. It's just related with the generation, if I can say like that, right? So our generation was different, right? The new one is different. So it's more about the you know, the I don't know, the situation, the world where we live. So it's more complicated. I'm not sure if there is just, you know, one simple answer. Probably not, because if there would be, then probably the people would use it. But on the other hand, I think that the positive thing is that those young people, they are always, what I can observe, willing to learn new things. They are open for trainings. They are open for you know, obtaining some new skills, including the soft skills. So I think that with the help of companies, with the help of good leaders, you know, the behavior can be changed finally. Because if you want to learn something new, if you want to attend the training, then that's great, because it seems that your motivation is good enough to be able to do this. We cannot force anyone, right? I mean, you can send someone to the training, but if the motivation will be low, then, well, the result will not be sufficient, let's say like that.
Don't you think that we are missing something in the educational system?
Oh yes, well, that's
in this context, that we don't prepare young people, you know, how to listen, how to communicate, how
yes.
to get by with other people.
But well, it's not only because of the education system. I think it's also because of us, right? The parents, our behaviors have changed as well. I can really observe this. Sometimes I'm really like even scared, if I can say like that. Quite recently, I was observing two different people with really small children, and they were like the parents, right? They were walking but actually they were looking at their smartphones, right? So they were completely like not even aware what is happening around. And I was like, oh my God, right? You are you are walking with your children, right? We are like in the middle of the forest, and you cannot even observe what is happening around of you, because you are still like you know, doing something with your phone, right? Scrolling. So yeah, well, that's how it is. So it's not all about the education, it's also about us.
Is it worse, let's say, after the pandemic?
That's a good question. If it's worse, I think can be, right, because most of the people, they have started working from home. We had the situation with online classes, right? So yes, I think that yes, the situation is even worse now. Well, let's say how it will be with the pandemic, and but yes, definitely.
What's the impact of the war on the people at work today, in your opinion? I must say that, you know, for let's say from the outbreak of the war, for 2 weeks I couldn't concentrate really. So it must have a huge impact, in my opinion.
Yes, that's true. I think that I was even able to observe this with just with myself, right? In the beginning, when everything has started, of course, I was watching. You know, I was trying to be, let's say, up to date, right, with all the news, right? I was reading, watching many different information news, and I started feeling really bad. And then I realized, oh my God, what are you doing, right? Stop doing this, because first of all, with doing this, I'm not helping, right? I'm not able to stop it, so it doesn't work. And then I'm hurting myself as well, because then I'm really like stressed. I cannot, as you said, right? You cannot concentrate on work. You cannot concentrate on anything else, because you are still like thinking, right? Those kind of images, they are still in your mind. So I've just stopped. Of course, from time to time, I'm trying to read something or watch, just to be, just to know what is happening right outside. But I would advise not to do this, because this way we are not helping others, but we are hurting ourselves, right? And it's really bad for our mind and for our body, because we are like we are stressed, right? So that's really difficult situation.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I did the same. From time to time, you know, something new breaks out,
Yeah.
even more horrific, and you watch it. Um,
And I can give you even one example, because quite recently I was attending a kind of mindfulness course. And there were different people from different companies, different brands, etc. And one lady was even telling us that she has never had any problems with sleeping, but nowadays, because of this war, she was not able to sleep at all, right? Even though it was not affecting her like personally, but because of the situation, it was so like inside her that she was not able, and she was trying many different methods, and she was not able to sleep. So you can see how it is, how we are impacted with the situation, right? Even though we are in a different country, maybe we are not so involved, right? We are not there, but still there are a lot of people from Ukraine. We have friends, relatives, etc. And it's really difficult situation.
do you think this happens the world over? Because of course we're in Poland, both of
Yes.
us.
Yes, I have a lot of candidates from India, and to be honest, when everything has started, this is one of the first questions they are asking. What is the situation? Are you safe, right? What will happen if I would relocate? Can you tell me if everything will be good or bad, right? So yes, they are aware and they are afraid. And to be honest, also people outside of Poland, they the decide to resign, to relocate because of the current situation. So yes, that's something which worries, I think, everyone.
So maybe let's switch the topic a bit to your international experience, because this is very interesting.
Sure.
You worked both in the European, in the US companies, and also in Indian. What, let's say, what lesson have you learned from such multicultural experience? And in particular, I'm very interested in, let's say, in recruiting from India.
Well, yes, I think I have a really good experience in recruitment, especially recruiting people from India. Especially now, I do have really like a lot of candidates from India, and I really like those candidates, right? In most of the cases, they are really motivated. I would say they are. Yes, they are not, of course, they are assertive, but not too assertive, right? They have, in most of the cases, a lot of experience. They have a really good technical skills, but what I don't like is the fact that very often they try to negotiate the salary aspect at the last stage, right? And it's difficult because even if I'm trying to explain them from the beginning, how does it work? What is the taxation? What are the deductions, right? We are really together with the recruitment team, we are trying to provide them with all the details, showing them online calculators, really like step by step. Still, at the end, even after the offer, even after accepting the offer, they can come back after a few months saying that no, but now they have just they've done the calculation one more time, and actually the amount they would like to obtain is different. So this is something which I'm always trying to think how to avoid those kind of situations, right? What else can be done? So that's the only issue. All the other things are pretty much fine. So they are really polite, they are really nice, they are quite communicative, I have to admit. So they don't have any issues with the communication during the interviews. So yeah, and they can present themselves pretty in a really nice way. So that's how it is.
My experience is that, let's say, it's best to sign something off after the acceptance of the offer as soon as possible. Yes, but generally the problem with people from lower cost countries relocating physically to Poland or to Europe is that the candidates unfortunately not play, but let's say deal with a couple of offers.
Yes.
At the same moment, and whenever they tell you that they are accepting, it doesn't really mean that they are accepting.
Yeah.
If they come.
And even if they sign, right, the document, well, you cannot force them. It's like with local candidates, right? They can sign, but they can resign on the date of joining, and that's nothing you can do. So that's how it is. But what I've noticed, I think this is a kind of change. And I was also speaking completely offline. This was the private conversation with one of my Indian friends, is the fact that during the pandemic, the situation in India has changed. So the salaries have changed and have been increased. I would say that nowadays the salaries are even higher than in Poland, especially for the really experienced candidates with core technologies, like just to give you an example, Java. And very often, really, when they are doing this calculation, it seems that because of the taxation, which is different in Poland, right? Because of the current inflation and because of the cost of living, which is also higher, at the end of the day, it's not attractive from the financial point of view. So the salaries they have in India at the moment, they are higher. I mean, they are able to save more because the cost of living is lower. They do not have to pay so much for the tax. So That's the situation.
Yes, the other day last year I had a project for some very rare SAP module consultant. So I realized that there are very few of these people in Europe, and I was searching in India, and I went to MBO, and I was quite shocked that Bengaluru, for instance, offers better purchasing power parity than Krakow.
Yes, that's true, and that's true, and unfortunately the inflation, right? Even the cost of renting the flats now, it doesn't help, right? It's something which we have to struggle with.
Before I realized that Indian professionals are generally lower costs than European, so
it was like that. It was like that. I think before the pandemic situation has changed during the pandemic, and I was really surprised as well, because I had exactly the same experience like you are saying. And then when I had the discussion with my friend, he told me, well, the situation has changed, right? Especially during the pandemic, most of the companies, they decided to change the salaries, to change the budget for the particular roles, just to retain also those experienced employees. So
we're still talking about not nominal values. We're talking about purchasing power parity, right? And this is a very interesting topic, because let's say after the pandemic, when we are all working remotely mostly, people are expecting the same salaries, and this as in this very high cost hubs like London or Bay Area. And recently I had candidates asking for over 100,000 euros for a development position, being based in Poland.
Okay.
And I'm just waiting. Well, let's say a very senior, say CTO in Poland is 150, 160,000 euros. And we're talking now about a developer with some very rare skills, very good competencies, but with some 5 years of experience at the most. So in my opinion, it's not all right that people are asking for money which is not in accordance with the purchasing power of the location they live in. And in my opinion, right after the pandemic, IT salaries soared. To be honest, not went up, but just soared because of the digitization, which tripled the pace before. Yes. Like we and so the salaries soared, but now they are slowly but steadily stopping to rise. And my opinion is that we are coming back to the situation where salaries are attached to the purchasing power of the location one lives in and one works in. What's your take on this?
To be honest, I'm not sure, because because of this pandemic situation, many companies, they have been maybe impacted, but not IT, right? So in IT companies, I think the demand has increased rapidly, and actually still there are a lot of vacancies, a lot of open positions, and those IT specialists, they have really great choice, right? So they can be picky. So I'm not sure if there is something which can be done regarding the salaries. Apparently, most of the companies, they have decided to also to increase the salaries nowadays because of all the changes which we have which have been done, right? I'm talking about the the way of taxation, and I'm talking about the inflation and all those things. So I think that nowadays even candidates, they are expecting more, and also the foreigners, because they are also aware that the situation in Poland has changed, that everything is more expensive, that there is the inflation. So what I can say, candidates who have been offered even like few months ago, and for example, we are still waiting for them because of the work permit, visa, etc. They are coming back and asking for higher salaries due to those reasons, right? So I'm not sure what can be done now, right? Because, well, that's somehow that's reasonable, right? Because everything is more expensive. But on the other hand, companies cannot increase the salaries again and again, over and over, right? So, well, we have to stop somewhere, but
My opinion is that we are coming to equilibrium.
Yeah.
Because we saw this huge losses on stock exchange in the US in recent days of technology companies, including Uber and Netflix and everybody. And it seems that, let's say, it's a kind of correction of tech stocks, and you remember companies like Xerox or IBM.
Yeah.
IBM is still big, but it's not the biggest IT company. It used to be. Xerox is, I guess it does exist. At least it existed a couple of years ago where we worked for Xerox.
Yeah.
But it's something smallish in comparison to ones like Microsoft, Amazon, Meta,
Definitely.
and all the like. So every era of tech companies has its time limits. It seems like we're coming to some, I don't say end, but maybe
to the limit, right?
To the limit with current technologies, and I see the market. I see, let's say, my clients more and more averse to paying candidates, for instance, Bay Area salaries or London salaries, while they know that life in Poland for this candidate is 2 to 3 times cheaper.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that what the companies can do, and some of them, they are doing this, right? They are hiring more junior candidates and they are providing them with upskilling programs. And I think that's the best idea, because at the end of the day, first of all, due to the cost, you would not be able to hire only really experienced, like senior candidates. And also it's really difficult, right? So hiring junior candidates and providing them with all the necessary trainings, and at the same time giving them the chances to develop, right, to grow, I think that's the solution.
What are the most common mistakes of hiring managers when hiring? We both worked with hiring managers for years.
What are the mistakes? Well, there are probably a lot of mistakes, but first of all, I think that when we are hiring the managers, we have to really focus on those soft skills, right? Because this is being a manager, you have to be those soft skills are really crucial and really important. So communication, empathy, etc., etc. So this is something which can be missed, and this would be the mistake. What else? Also, we have to somehow check if the particular manager would be able to cooperate with the existing team, right? Especially in this situation when we have the team already, the team is already in the company, and we are just trying to find the manager, let's say the backup, right? Because the previous one decided to continue the career outside of the organization. Then we really have to find out if this particular manager would be a good manager for the team, right? Because I do agree with this sentence that people, whenever they are leaving, in most of the cases, they are leaving, maybe not because, but somehow, right, of the managers, due to the managers, rather than because of the company. So that's really important.
To me, there are two issues with, let's say, how hiring manager lose war for talent, so to say. First is time. They do not realize that they are becoming more and more aware, but still it's a common mistake that so-called, so to say, life of a candidate on the market is something like 2 weeks. And you'd say even shorter. And people want candidates to adjust to their calendar and not the other way around. They cannot understand it. And the second issue is they have to make a person welcome upon the first impression. My daughter is now choosing between two schools because she's finishing her primary school and going to high school, and the choice is that between a private school which costs some money and a public one which is free.
Yeah,
and the public is much better.
so
yes, in all rankings, in everything. It's a really top school in my city, probably #1, and the decision of me and my wife is obvious. If we have a better school and for free, why shall we go to the worst one and pay for it? But my daughter said, I prefer the private one somehow. Or she's leaning towards the one that we want her to go, but we have to be very delicate because she said they made me feel welcome.
Yes, and that's very important.
Because they organized a team of their students who talked to the possible new joiners, and she said that they were so welcoming, that they were, let's say, so well trained how to attract her, even though she's a smart girl, and said, I don't believe it truly. I think that they were doing what teachers told them as well, which is obvious because it's life. And the other school made just a formal meeting when you could sit and listen to what the headmistress is saying.
I completely agree with you, and I think that yes, when we are talking about the companies, how those first days looks like, how the company is like take care about new joiners. This is so crucial. This is so important. I could feel it when I have joined my previous company. I mean, even before the date of joining, my manager, he used to call me to check if everything is fine, if I would need anything, if I have received all the tools. And I was like, oh my God, I felt so like, so good, right? I had this feeling that, yes, they are really waiting for me. They are really taking care of new joiners. That's so nice. That's so important, especially in the beginning, because when people are joining the particular company, and it doesn't matter what is the role, what is the designation, what is the company, it's always this kind of hesitation, right? There's always this risk, how it would be, what would be my manager, the team, etc., etc. So this kind of welcoming you in a proper way, this kind of feeling which you can have, that yes, they are really take care, they really want me to feel good, to be able to show my skills, right, what I can bring to the company. That's so important. So this first impression, right, this welcoming package, or the onboarding phase, right, it's so important.
But it's not about gadgets to me, that we use.
No, it's not. It's about
pack.
No. By the welcome pack, I mean this relation, this approach, right? So as I told you, even before joining the company, my manager was keep on calling me to check if everything is fine, if I would need anything. So if everything is working, right? So very apparently in IT companies, this is something which I'm always finding really funny always. Very often your own equipment doesn't work, right? You have some issues with your laptop, your personal laptop which you're using. And I was always like thinking how it is possible, right? I'm working for the IT company. Why I'm having so many challenges with my laptop, right? And, with this first login and all those kinds of things, especially in the beginning for new joiners. And in this previous company, everything was working even before. So I was like, oh my God, it is possible, right? It can be done. So those are those small things which can be so, they are so irritating, frustrating, right? Especially for the new person. Login is not working. You're not able to log in. You don't have the access. You have to wait. You have to raise the tickets. Why? It can be done in a smooth way. And it's so important.
I absolutely agree. I worked in a company when I had to spend, I think, a week to get, everything sorted out. Yes.
Yeah.
Simple bureaucratic or technical issues. I think, let's say, probably the last question, because we're slightly running out of time. What are, let's say now, typical corporate well-being policies after COVID and in the wartime, what now is the standard companies are offering, and what maybe should be added to this in your opinion?
Mm-hmm. If we are talking about the type of work, this work from the office or remote kind of work, I think that most of the companies, they are offering this hybrid module. And I think that this is in my opinion, is the best option, right? Most of the people, they used to work from home and they don't want to come back to the office. I can also tell you about my example, right? I cannot imagine that I'm coming back to the office because for example, I live outside of the city center, and there are a lot of people like me. So instead of losing the time in the traffic, jams, etc., it's better to start your work right from your home. So first of all, this hybrid module, this is what I can see. And then the second change, if we are talking about the benefits, are all those well-being programs. This was definitely not so popular before the pandemic. And I've realized that most of the companies, they have implemented those kind of programs. And I can see this, of course, in IT companies, but not only. I can also see this in all those production companies, automotive companies. And I think that this is something which people really need. So this is something new.
And it's to stay with us, I guess.
Yes, I think that it will be even like growing all those companies providing those kind of services. We will be able to see more and more companies like that. Like a few months ago, I was able to recognize only a few of them, let's say the biggest ones, but now I can see the new ones and another ones and another ones. So they are growing really. So that's what we all need, I think, nowadays. That's the expectations from the not the employers, employees, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Zuzanna, thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
I will put your details into a comment so that everybody could contact you and
sure. I'm on LinkedIn, so whoever would like to connect with me, then definitely it would be possible.
Regarding your services or as a trainer or a coach. So once again, thank you very much for it. It was I think very interesting for our audience, technical audience.
I hope so.
hearing about, let's say, human dimension of their work, and I wish you a great day.
Thank you.
We've just started.
Yes, that's true. Thank you. You too. Thank you very much
Bye.
for the invitation, for having me. All the best.